Welcome back to the deep dive. So today we're tackling a really delicate topic.
And a very high-stakes one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Professional boundaries. Now, if you're preparing for exams, something like the MSRA SJT, or even just trying to navigate your early career safely, this is it's essential stuff.
It really is.
We're using the GMC guidance as our source, and our mission is pretty simple. We want to turn that dense policy into the clearest, highest-scoring guide you can get.
That's the goal. The GMC's guidance on maintaining personal and professional boundaries, it isn't just a list of rules to avoid trouble. It's really about understanding the fundamental trust that patients place in us.
Okay.
So we're going to pull out the non-negotiables, the frameworks, and those predictable patterns the SJT loves to use.
Okay, let's jump right into a scenario then, one that really captures the tension here.
Let's do it.
Imagine this. You've been treating a young person, someone with significant mental health struggles, for about 6 months. 3 months ago, they were discharged, stable. Now, they find you on social media. They send you a really lovely message thanking you, saying your care was life-changing, and then they suggest meeting for a coffee sometime soon as friends.
Ah, the classic dilemma.
Right. You feel flattered, maybe, but also a bit uneasy. The question is, should you accept?
And that unease is the key. That immediate dilemma, it highlights the permanent mark of the doctor-patient relationship.
Right.
So the one-sentence takeaway, the core truth here, is that the duty to maintain patient trust and prevent any perception of abusing your power is, well, it's absolute. It takes precedence over everything else.
That phrase, perception of abuse, is so important. It's not just about what you do, but how it could be seen.
Precisely. Because trust is the foundation of everything. The GMC says that in paragraph 8. If that trust is broken or even just looks like it's being exploited, the whole doctor-patient partnership just collapses.
And in the real world, that leads to
fitness to practice action straight away. And for your exam, the SJT is constantly testing whether you spot that persistent vulnerability.
Especially after the professional relationship has ended.
Yes. You lose marks if you prioritize your own feelings, your personal comfort, or if you wait too long to act when a boundary is being crossed.
Okay, so let's establish the absolute baseline then. The fundamental rule that everything else is built on.
The baseline is completely uncompromising. Doctors must never see patients as potential romantic or sexual partners. That's from GMC paragraph 4. It's the ultimate ethical red line.
And from that, we get 2 core rules for current patients.
We do. Rule 1. You must not pursue a sexual or improper emotional relationship with any current patient. Full stop.
And this is where it gets broader than people might think, isn't it? It's not just about the patient themselves.
Exactly. Rule 2 is that this boundary extends to people close to them. We're talking family members, partners, very close friends.
Why is that?
Because your professional relationship with the patient is often the only reason you even know their loved one. Pursuing that person could completely destroy the trust you have with your original patient. It looks like you've used your position to gain access.
That makes perfect sense. Okay, let's create a visual for this, a memory hook.
Good idea.
I always think of the relationship as happening inside a clinical consultation room. It's a protected space where trust has to be absolute.
Okay.
And in that room, the doctor is always standing professionally behind the desk. That desk is the boundary. You can never, ever step around it to pursue something personal.
I like that. The desk is the boundary. It reinforces that professional separation.
No matter how tempted you are, or even if the patient initiates it.
Yes. Now let's make this practical. Let's talk about the framework for when a boundary breach actually happens. This is pure SJT gold.
What to do first, next, and last.
Exactly. So, first step. Assess and challenge, but only if it's safe.
What does that look like?
So say a patient makes a suggestive remark. You need to tell them calmly that the behavior is unacceptable and ask them to stop.
But only if you feel safe.
Only if you feel safe. If you feel threatened at all, you immediately excuse yourself from the situation and you go get help. Your safety comes first.
Okay, what's step 2?
Step 2 is report internally. You have to report the incident. It doesn't matter if it's patient misconduct or something you've seen a colleague do, you follow your workplace policy.
And what if it is a colleague?
The guidance adds another layer there. It asks you to first check in with the person who was targeted, offer them support. So it's a dual action.
Support and report.
That's the highest scoring approach. And then third, you escalate. This is for the serious stuff. If you suspect criminal activity, sexual assault, rape, non-consensual touching, you have a duty to report it.
To whom?
To the police and to regulatory bodies. like the GMC, especially if you're in any kind of leadership role.
That sounds incredibly stressful. Balancing being a caring doctor with a duty to report potential crimes.
It is, but in those moments, the duty to protect the public and the profession just overrides everything else. The duty shifts.
Right. Let's circle back to our first scenario, the former patient who wants coffee. The GMC says there's no magic time limit that makes a relationship okay. So how do you decide? We need a system.
There is one embedded in the guidance. We can turn it into a mnemonic.
Okay.
Let's call it TIMES.
TIMES.
I like it.
So T is for?
Timing. How long ago did the professional relationship end? The more recent it was.
The less appropriate it is.
Exactly. Next, I is for inappropriate, or maybe better, intensity. Was it a brief one-off consultation, or was it a long-term, intense therapeutic relationship over many years?
Right. A deeper relationship creates bigger risks. Okay, M.
M is for members of family. Are you still going to be caring for their family members? A new personal relationship could compromise those existing duties.
No sense. E.
E is for exploitation. Could this, even years down the line, be perceived by anyone as you exploiting the trust you once held?
And finally, S.
And this is the most important one. S is for still vulnerable. Was the patient vulnerable when you treated them, and are they still vulnerable now? This is critical for patients with mental health issues, children, learning disabilities. If they are still vulnerable,
The answer is no.
the relationship must not be pursued. That factor trumps all the others.
Okay, that TIMES structure is brilliant for the SJT. It forces you to look at it from all angles.
It does. The exam wants you to apply those lenses, not just guess.
But let me push back a bit. In our scenario, what if it's been 5 years, not 3 months, and the patient was treated for depression but is now perfectly stable? Does still vulnerable still count?
That is the exact sort of gray area the SJT loves.
Right.
And the GMC's position is that if the original condition, like depression, is known to be recurrent or fluctuating, then that patient is almost always considered to have a baseline vulnerability. The power differential is permanent.
So even after 5 stable years.
The perception that you are the professional who helped them through a dark time remains. So for the exam, if the original issue involves significant mental frailty, the safest, highest scoring answer is always to politely decline. Maintain the boundary.
That is crystal clear. Okay, let's move on to some common SJT scenario patterns based on all this.
Right. Pattern 1 is the one we've been discussing, the vulnerable former patient. What's being tested is your recognition of the abuse of power.
So the best action is always to decline.
Always. You explain kindly and professionally that your role was strictly medical.
Okay, pattern 2.
Colleague sexual harassment. This is often the more subtle stuff. Sexist jokes, suggestive comments, leering.
And what's being tested there?
Your responsibility to act against behavior that makes the workplace unsafe. The best action is to challenge it if you feel safe, offer support to the person it's aimed at, and report it through your internal policy.
And the third pattern?
Reporting a colleague's breach with a patient. This tests that balance between patient safety and confidentiality.
And the best action?
Report your concern promptly to someone who can investigate. You should try to get the patient's consent to share information, but
if you can't, or it's not appropriate.
If you decide to disclose in the public interest, you must usually tell the patient you're going to do it, unless telling them would put someone at risk.
Got it. Now let's flip this. What about the trap answers, the things that always lose marks?
Yes, let's cover the traps.
Okay, trap 1. Just ignore minor inappropriate behavior from a colleague. Why is that wrong?
It scores terribly because the GMC is explicit that things like sexist jokes are not minor. They are defined as unacceptable sexual behaviors, and ignoring them allows an unsafe culture to grow. You have to act.
Okay. Trap 2. Assume a relationship with a senior colleague is private.
This one fails because big power differences between colleagues mean there's always a risk it could be seen as coercive. It affects the whole team, it affects training, it's not just a private matter.
Right. Trap 3. End the professional relationship just so you can immediately pursue a personal one.
That's a huge red flag. It's explicitly forbidden. You can't use your professional role as a stepping stone. It's a clear abuse of your position.
And the final trap, maybe the biggest one for exams.
Trap 4. Delay acting on a colleague's misconduct while you go and seek advice.
Why does that score so badly?
Because patient safety is paramount. Concerns have to be reported promptly to someone who can investigate. You act first, report, then get advice. Not the other way around.
Action first. Okay, let's do some rapid-fire examples to really lock this in.
Great. If you hear a sexual rumor circulating about a colleague and a patient,
You have to do something. Check in with the people involved and report the rumor itself, because spreading it is unprofessional.
perfect. Okay, a former patient you treated for a broken wrist years ago approaches you socially.
You run the TIMES check. It was brief. They're probably not vulnerable. You might consider it, but only after very careful thought.
Exactly. Last one. You witness a colleague touch or grope someone in the staff room.
That's criminal activity. You report it immediately to management, maybe even the police. There's no gray area there.
Spot on.
This has been incredibly useful. Let's wrap it up with 3 key takeaways for everyone revising.
Let's do it.
Takeaway 1. The moment that doctor-patient relationship starts, the patient and everyone close to them are completely off limits for personal pursuits. The boundary is instant. Takeaway 2. Vulnerability doesn't have an expiry date. If a patient was vulnerable, pursuing them later will almost certainly be seen as an abuse of power. So use the TIMES framework.
Every single time.
And takeaway 3. You have a mandatory duty to act against misconduct, whether it's from a patient or a colleague. Offer support, challenge if it's safe, and report your concerns promptly.
And that's it. Professional boundaries aren't just rules. They're the absolute bedrock of trust that lets patients tell us their deepest vulnerabilities. If you maintain that boundary, you maintain your professionalism.
A perfect summary. As you carry on with your revision, just remember to apply that TIMES framework to every single scenario with a former patient. It will guide you to the right answer. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive.
My pleasure.
We'll catch you next time.